Friday, August the 7th, 2020, and here I am once again in East Herts, well, North East Herts, at a village called Weston. I'm actually doing a Clothall Circular, which is number 103 in the North Herts Ramblers series, but I'm starting here at Weston simply because parking and logistical purposes, and we've got a cracking day today, possibly one of the hottest days of the year. Not a cloud in the sky. Some might say it's a bit too hot for walking. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I have slightly reduced the distance today. This walk is officially about 10.3 miles, but I'll probably end up doing 11 because of the walking distance to the church here as a starting point. Aiming to have lunch at the only other church on this walk, in a village called Wallington, which is about 4 miles hence. So that then obviously leaves a longer afternoon, as like last week. But hey ho, can't complain on a cracking day like today. So let's press on. It's around 1 o'clock, so I should be done by around 6. Now, I have featured this church on a previous Saturday Walkers walk, I believe, because I remember filming Jack-o'-Leg's grave here. He's the legendary local giant, by all accounts. And unusually, this church isn't a St Mary's, but a Holy Trinity, which is one that we don't encounter very often. I did check about Mary, and she is the most popular saint dedication in this country. All Saints, of course, is number 2, I think. Now, I was looking for that car park. I couldn't remember how to get here, which is why I ended up parking in the village. Sounds like we're going to possibly encounter a bit more bird song today, which is unusual given the heat. The old robin there getting us off onto a good start. At Bury Mead here. Now follow this bridleway all the way through to Clothall. Got a decent enough bridleway here. Won't have problems with horses' hooves at any point of the year on this one. The boughs are absolutely laden with berries now. Elderberries in this case. And above it, I wonder if that's the bootlace I was recently told about. Old blue tits spotted me. Warning note. Don't know, it looks like a little apple rather than a bootlace. As with last week, more jet noise, albeit private planes on the whole now. Soon out into open countryside. Here, an uncut field of wheat, which is getting unusual now. Only the first week of August, but round my way the fields have been pretty much done. Ploughed in, and in some cases re-sown already. Quite amazing. Some form of lovely willow there. That nice silvery colour. Now it's there because on my left is at some time of the year some kind of ditch. Doubt it's got any water in it now. In fact, I'm wrong. There is a trickle. Base of this willow is pretty much eroded. It's a wonder it's still living. They do regenerate well, but nonetheless. At this junction with Weston Golden Jubilee Walk, take a left. Another shady byway, which is handy. So we come off the byway at this juncture, take this footpath here on the right, with that white house in the distance there. Now walking alongside a field of barley, and I can hear buzzards mewing somewhere. Quite amazing really, these rose hips I think. And you've got the haws, sloes, everything's about a month early. It's only the first week of August. All hastened on by global warming and the exceptional May we had, I guess. Nice thatch over there on my left. Pretty typical of this area, Clothall, reflecting its past. I think we bear off right here, following the hedge round. Plenty of goldfinches around, and swallows. Okay, my GPX takes me, as I say, right round the hedge there, but this GPX was done in 2011 again, and maybe over time the path has been diverted and it now goes straight across. So I will take the route straight across because there's no point walking round this hedge when you don't need to. So let's see what transpires. Now the new version that I'm taking takes you past someone's house. You have to look carefully for the sign in the hedge next to his house, and lots of memorabilia in the garden. And as you can see, the thistles are starting to seed. That's why the goldfinches are so raucous, I suppose. So there still is a footpath on my right here, which is where the GPX takes you, but where I was about to go right about 5 minutes ago, there is no longer a footpath. So that footpath here takes you towards Parkfield Cottages there, and the new one that I've just taken here must have appeared since 2011 when the GPX was done. But in any case, brings you to the same point and probably saves you about a quarter of a mile. So here we go, this is the new form of litter. Stood here next to the A507. Of course the footpath's still open. You're not allowed to close them, as you well know. Classic there. Is that the Red Admiral? They love this purple lilac tree, or even the lilac tree. Sticking with the Hertfordshire way as opposed to the turning off here, so straight on. Now Now this is once again turning out to be a decent walk. Lots of shady areas, tree tunnels. It's now sort of like the hottest part of the day, and I'm not really noticing it, to be honest, because for the most part, although there are some large field expanses, these tree tunnels come in handy. There's quite a few of them as well. This section's actually a bit more than a tree tunnel. It's a nice wooded section. Talking of which, nice bracket fungus up there. Wonder if anybody knows what that is. Lovely colour, almost like rust. Growing on the side of an ash. Back out into the open. Having just come through fairly overgrown section there onto this footbridge. Yeah, is this balsam? If so, it seems to be spreading at a horrendous rate of knots. Far worse than rhododendron now. Himalayan balsam, I think. Lovely field margin here with that yellow plant that somebody nicely identified for me the other day, and a bit of a newcomer here, some kind of white flower which seems to have taken over from the poppy now in abundance. Good to see. See, even when you're out in the fields, you're protected by these large trees at the field margin. So this walk is working out well at the moment. That's quite a bobby dazzler. Bit of the old deadly nightshade there. We come out to another junction and take a left here. It's not actually signposted, but GPX is good. 2:15 and I'm almost at my lunchtime destination, Wallington, which is actually quite high up, as you can see. Lovely view across the plain here. I've just heard some Fieldfares, which is highly unusual at this time of year and at this temperature. But as I've heard a few down my own way, they must be staying over more frequently now. Just about make them out in the background. At least I think they're Fieldfares. I'll have to double check. Could be an alternative. River here's dried up or been extracted to the bone. Just next to my lunchtime stop here, the church at Wallington. We'll get the name in a minute. Doors open. Extension to the rear, look. Quite plain. Plenty of flint within it. Unbelievably, there were a couple of other people in there. So I didn't get to venture in just yet. I'll do that after lunch. And I also couldn't find a name. It's a Church of England church though. There is one decent chair, or seat rather, in the shade as well. And who's dedicated this? In memory of Kit Girling. Thank you very much, Kit. Lunch is served. So here we are, just coming up 3 o'clock, lunch has been had, and we're inside what is, I discover, to be yet another St Mary's. As you can see, quite a simple church inside. Not many stained glass windows left. Looks like just that one at the end there. It's had a new roof. It's got all the typical COVID precautions in place, although not on the floor. Probably not enough people come here. Well, there's an interesting tale I didn't know. George Orwell spent time here, 1936. So that's something to research on Google, if you're that way inclined. Amazing. George Orwell's life in Wallington. Well, well, well. Very good. The original animal farm. So that kind of puts this church on the map. George Orwell was married here. Very interesting. The view from the pulpit end. Lovely and cool in here, as usual. Some of the bigwigs buried in the floor. Blow family. So as we leave St Mary's, we're 4 miles into the walk, so that clearly leaves around 7 more to do. So a pretty uneven balance, but it's the best I could do today, bearing in mind what was available to me. So, 3 o'clock, let's press on. Well, well, well. It's actually a picnic table here, next to what appears to be some kind of pond. Very deep water, talking of wells, with an overflow there. I wonder what the story is behind this. There was an information board here, but it's gone. So that's one to research. So we don't actually go into Wallington, which is on ahead on the Hertfordshire way. We're now taking this footpath towards Hoare and Sandon, which is on the Icknield way. Sandon, obviously, we walked round a few weeks ago. A couple of horses well protected here from the flies and heat. Wallington is pretty high up. The heights today are, I think it's 283 to 493 in range. So, as I said the other week at Sandon, We're on the back end of the Chiltern Ridge here really. After this it gets pretty flat towards Cambridgeshire and so on into Norfolk. The old class down there cutting. It's done so quickly these days that I've hardly seen any fields being cut. Blink and they're done. Look at the blade on that. I'd love to know what size those blades are. It doesn't take long to get a big field done. There's the old tractor waiting for a delivery. Pretty breezy up here, as you may be able to detect. Quite a vista. Massive cornfields. In this case it looks like wheat on the whole. Glorious. Leave the Hertfordshire Way here and continue straight on. Now, talking of the Hertfordshire Way, I was reading in my local paper this week that someone ran it. It's quite a distance, I think it's about 185 miles or something stupid, and I can't remember what time he recorded, but quite an achievement, raising money for some cause. But I've done a few bits of it over the last few weeks on these North Herts Ramblers walks, but to run the whole thing, which by definition it covers the whole of the county down as far as North London, is some going. Good work by the farmer here, keeping this path clear. You could take the shady route away from the sun round the edge if you wished. So you come to the bend on this road here, but before doing that you go past a thatched cottage here, and the onward journey straight up on the byway. And once again, and very appropriately, we've got another leafy tree tunnel passing through the small hamlet of Shaw's Green on the map. Over there you've got the noisier New Holland. Seems to be giving off a lot of pollution, as well as wheat dust. Seems to be quite a lot of oil fumes. Still doesn't touch the case one we saw a couple of weeks ago, the demonstrator. Aircon cab on that one, look. Music, different world. This walk is really good for these tree covered sections, much needed on a hot day like today. Certainly is more jet noise now I can hear in the background going into Stansted. Okay, there's no footpath marker here, but according to the GPX we do go through this hole in the hedge here, then a swift left. On the other side of this hedge, according to the map, there is a large pond. I can hear people's voices as well. And at this point, first indicators I've seen for a while. Take a left through the hedge. Well, it's not often you see that. Group of swallows sitting in a tree. Incredible. Usually on wires, in the nests, or gathering mud. Seldom in a tree. Certainly not in my experience. Wonderful to see. Interestingly, the tree's dead, so it provides ideal perches for them. Good dozen or so there. Probably a family or two. Just come through a run-down, rambling Kingswood Bury farm. Okay, the official route is right here through that gap in the field edge, but the GPX has gone along this hedge, turned right at the end to get to the busy A507 because the onward footpath is nearer that point, whereas if you go the official way you're going to have to walk along the edge of the busy A507 for a bit more. So I'll follow the GPX version and see what happens. Looking through the hedge there at the A507, and there is no verge, no way you'd better walk along that at all. So the official path comes out in the middle of nowhere in terms of continuing this GPX route. Whereas the GPX version, which is walked around the edge of this field, which is the unofficial version, seems to bring us where we need to be. There's the onward journey there. Reaching it though is clearly not easy. Okay, I eventually got across the A507 and out of the field opposite, but it's not easy. It's got a dike on the A507 side of the field, so you have to walk round further and join the main driveway, which obviously isn't the official route. Wonderful crop of some kind of pea here. Is it a field bean or peas? Don't know. But it's really dense and tightly packed. Fantastic for wildlife, I've no doubt. All those flowers that need pollinating, or did. So following this path now all the way to Luffanall, which is the most southerly point of today's walk. And as you can hear in the background there, yet another jet. Despite all the travel bans, there's still certainly a fair amount of air traffic going somewhere. I keep seeing a medium-sized white butterfly fluttering about, but I can't get it on camera. Predominantly white with a lovely bit of lilac on the bottom of each lower wing. So I think that might be a large blue. But I'll check that out when I get back. But I just can't get one on camera, they won't settle. Buzzards there in the background. Approaching Harvey's Hill Farm on the map, just on the edge of Luffanall. It's got cloudier now, still very humid though. Maybe a storm tonight. Old dilapidated property about to be converted. Typical thatched cottage or property of this area. Now in Luffanall, which I've cycled through on the cycle route indicated there. 3 mile as the crow flies to Weston. Probably since the GPX was made in 2011, you could now take this route to my right and cut out walking through the village, but I'm not going to. I'm going to follow the GPX. This would take you straight to Hall Green. Little bit of back lane walking through the end of Luffinall, which you could avoid if you took that right turn I showed earlier. Just before this turn to Walken, take this byway on the right. Views back whence I've come. Wouldn't believe we're on the edge of Stevenage here, not far from it. The burgeoning town of Stevenage, which is causing controversy with its proposed development of Forster country. That's E.M. Forster, the author, the Bean Valley, and proposals to build, I think it's 800 homes there. Outrageous. The latest ONS figures indicate they're not even needed. Another lovely wind tunnel section, albeit it's now overcast and a bit cooler outside now. Wheat fields on either side. They really are amazing, these old byways. When you're on the motorway or the A road, you'd never notice they were here, really. Wonderful. There's the line of transmission wires that we filmed a couple of weeks ago, all the way over near the other side of Buntingford, Furno Pelham. And I notice in the very distance here, you can just make out Cromer Windmill. Where's it gone? Hold on a second. Yeah, I got it. There she blows. See, they're a lot more picturesque than the modern wind turbine. Don't think we will be preserving those for posterity in the future. Anyway, there's the path across the field. My onward journey goes in the opposite direction, through that gap there. Follow this path all the way to Hall's Green. It looks like another tree tunnel. Wonderful. See, that field there shows what I've been saying about the quality of the crop this year. There's hardly any straw there, so that's likely a field of barley, which seems to be particularly short and stumpy this year. Yeah, I think there's going to be rain tonight. Okay, just gone 5. Don't take the bride away in that direction, but continue as the concrete post says over there, sort of leftish here, towards Hall's Green, in the direction of the transmission line. Good to see these new service trees being planted here. Looks like more hawthorn to me. Hedge. So not a service tree, but a hedge. Hear that bird in the background? That is one I don't know. It's not a yellow hammer. So therefore, I'd have it down as a siskin or something, perhaps. Stop now. There you go. Approaching Hall's Green as it gets more worryingly cloudy. Hopefully I'll be done before the rain arrives, which I think it will do. That bird does have undertones of a yellowhammer. Maybe it's a yellowhammer note I don't recognise. Some cracking horse chestnuts here as well. The rate they're going, they'll be out in the middle of the month by the looks of it. Good God. Incredible. Onward journey is obvious there through the gate. Sheep over there's got into the wrong field. All his gang are in the other field down below. My onward journey is straight across this field, so I can't help him. Well, that's strange. The footpath I was on brought me straight into the pub garden of the Rising Sun here in Hall Green. So for those that like a bit of refreshment, this is your place. Nice garden as well, and it is open. So immediately opposite the pub, there's a finger post hidden in the trees there. We want the one clearly marked for Weston, not Warren's Green. So that would appear to be quite clear across this field of barley. And an interesting seat in the field corner. Now I do think we're on the Weston Park estate, and in the distance there you can just make out the church in Weston where I was earlier today and where I'm headed. St Mary's, I believe it was. No, it wasn't, it was Holy Trinity. Good grief, yeah, not St Mary's. Well, well, well. My first sighting of cattle today as I come to the end of the walk. And thankfully they're in a different field. But, yeah, it's a hell of a lot of them. Parting shot of the Weston Park estate, or some of it anyway. This is appropriately called Bullock's pasture plantation, and I'm glad they're in the other field and not in this one. I did have my doubts when I saw it on the map when preparing the walk. Anyway, luck's in my favour today. Giant hogweed warning notice. Can't say I've seen any, but I do know it's the season for it. Oh, you can see they've cut it down here, look. Passing Holy Trinity once more. Okay, 6 o'clock on the button, 4 hours 28 minutes later, 11.25 miles, and that was a very decent walk yet again from North Herts Ramblers. Turned out alright in the end, the weather. I've just noticed on my GPS, or my recording system, 94 degrees recorded this afternoon. How accurate that is I don't know, but was a bit warm. Anyway, another lovely walk of field margins, wind tunnels, sorry not wind tunnels, tree tunnels, and lovely byways. The only problem was, or one issue, was crossing the A507 at that point where the path, official path, is about 300 or 400 yards from the continuation point, and you have to sort of traipse a little bit illegitimately across the field edge. Council really need to tend to that, I think. Anyway, that was Clothall Circular completed, and very nice it was. Till the next time.